Welcome back down on the farm in Bjornholm for episode 24 with me, Mr. Silly P. You find me back in the yard. Haven't actually got any of the seeding done yet that I was intending to do. Got back to the yard, had a few thoughts. Never good to stop and think. I often think. Doesn't help, does it? I'm going to go down to the shop and sell the Cramp Kipper, the Bandit 750. You'll see why momentarily. We were down here in the last episode selling the Crone Swadrow windrow because it was too big. We are now going to get rid of this. There is a reason for it, which will become apparent very, very shortly. 27,000, that's not bad. I don't need to get in that yet. Actually, I'll go around to the store. The reason for the sale, and having just been into the shop, had a chat to the guys in the store as to my best options for a new trailer, and this is what they've come up with. The IT runner. Now this grain trailer that goes onto the IT runner is a 45,000 litre capacity, and the Bandit that we just sold was only a 40,000. So it is a jump up. It doesn't look bigger, which is weird. It's very strange. It looks smaller, but it's got a bigger capacity. Could be something to do with the scaling. If you've watched some of my other gameplay series, if you watched Sosnovka, you'll know that I got the IT runner pack. Hadn't had it before, so I downloaded it. Quite like it. It's good DLC. Pretty impressed with it so far. So I thought on this one, I'll grab it. Now, if you haven't seen my other gameplay series, this will be the first time you're seeing it. If you've already got the DLC, fantastic, you'll know how it works. If you haven't, I urge you to get it. It's a good pack. I know Farming Simulator 17 is just on the horizon with about a month to go. Totally understand that. But in all honesty, I think this is one of those games you'll still probably come back to. I mean, it depends if Farming Simulator 17 is leaps and bounds ahead of where we are now. Then maybe not. So, the trailer, pretty nice. We will put the hook back. And try to get it lined up as best as possible. That isn't as best as possible. And once we get this little thing come up at the bottom saying it's ready to attach, we will attach it and then pull it back onto the trailer bed. I'm not quite sure why I went for yellow. When you buy it, you can pick the colour of the trailer bed and the back, especially for the grain one. Haven't had a yellow trailer before, so I thought it might be something a bit different. So there we go, new trailer bought. That will go back with me in a minute. What I'm also going to do, which I've just suddenly remembered, which is terrible, back into the store. I am going to do potatoes, I've decided. We're going to stick some potatoes in the ground. This is the larger of the potato planters. It's a 6-station planter, I think. Yep. Can get quite expensive planting potatoes. It requires a lot of money up front, and you have to refill this, depending on the size of the field, a few times. That said, the yield on potatoes is quite big. And if you're lucky enough to get a great demand, you can do all right out of it. If you don't, they don't pay you a lot. It's only about $400 per tonne, I think it is. But because you get a high yield, you do kind of make that money back. But anyway, haven't done potatoes on this map, so I thought I'll get the seeder planter and we'll get some potatoes in the ground. So my big decision now is, or decisions, are how to repurpose my fields. I said in the last episode I've got quite a few that are fertilised but have nothing in them, and I've had different crops in them at different times. That was brilliant, well done. Take this back to the yard. Yeah, so I'm probably going to just jig around a little bit what goes into what field. We'll park this up next to the larger of the cramped trailers, the 59,000 litre one. That will come in handy when we are doing potatoes, I think. So we'll leave that there. And we will whiz back down and grab the potato planter. And we're back. I'm just going to fill it up here from the seeder collection point, seed collection point, whatever you want to call it, the seed trigger. And there we go. Now this may take a while, and a little bit of our funds, I'm thinking. When I say a little bit of our funds, I'm thinking a lot of our funds. For you, mere seconds. For me, a while. Right, we are full. I'm thinking to start off relatively small with the potatoes, not going too big a field. So I'm going to do this one. And I might do the field next to it. So we're on field 23, and I might do field 28. And then what I'll probably do is 37 and 36. We're a little bit south of where I am now. I'm probably going to put sugar beet in both of those. And then we'll carry on with our canola and other things elsewhere. So that's what I'm intending. We'll just get this to start seeding, planting, whatever you want to call it. This will need refilling. On this field, probably a couple of times, I would imagine. So, we'll get the potatoes into the ground. While that's doing that, I'm probably going to go and jump into the New Holland T8 and get the maize and sugar beet harvester out, and probably get that going on a field as well. Now I have jumped back into the Deutzfahr. I haven't set the other seeder off because it's suddenly dawned on me, because I've done a different kind of gameplay style on here. This was the map that requires a bit more effort on my part in the initial planting stages, and then when it comes to, because I wanted to make it more realistic. In doing so, unlike Westbridge Hills and Sosnovka to some extent, I can't just set a worker off because I've changed the shape of the fields. Once I've made the rectangle, if you've watched any of my episodes before, you'll know I like to make a rectangle and then you can set a worker on the rectangle. Until I've got that rectangle in place, I can't, so I've got to do it myself. I completely forgot. I set the worker off and chugging down here he was quite happily. And I suddenly thought, oh hang on, he's going to come a bit unstuck on the end. So I'll do this bit myself. which is what I always intended for this map. I wanted there to be a bit more realism, that the seeding would need to be done more manually, as with the harvesting, and even fertilising would all have to be done a little bit more manually. That was manually, not manly. Now, to be fair, if this episode is just me seeding this field, planting this field, it's not the end of the world, because it's, again, one of those things I've mentioned on this, and I do keep saying the same things over again. I do apologise if you've been watching any of these gameplay series. I do have a tendency to jump all over the place. I don't often stick with a job and see it through. Some people prefer to see a lot being done in an episode and varying things. Some people prefer to just see one job done properly from start to finish. So this episode may end up just being getting potatoes in the ground, but we haven't done potatoes on this map before, so it is something a bit different. Now again, for the purists among you, there are probably all sorts of different ways of planting, and I am no expert. Driving over the crop you've just put in probably isn't advisable, and I do sometimes have a bit of a slapdash kind of way of approaching each field. It does seem a little bit of a sort of scattergun approach, and again I do apologise for that. Right, let's go up the side. If I keep that left mudguard just on the edge of where I need to seed, it should keep the seeder exactly where I want it behind, like so. Each tractor will be different, and you'll work out where you need to plant yourself. And we will get to the point where we have the rectangle in place. And once the rectangle is in place, I can set the worker off. But I'll probably go around this. I know it's referred to as different things. Some people say the headland, some people just say a strip around the outside, a header, whatever you want to call it. But get a couple of strips in at least. I'm probably going to catch this, so I need to just go off slightly to one side. Not far enough to one side. Okay. I'm going to turn this around, albeit badly. When I say badly, I mean appallingly. And we'll get this back in. Yes, we are. So by putting in these headlands, whatever you want to call them, we are, or I am, I keep saying we are, because you're in the tractor with me, in that training seat just there. Interestingly, saying that, I know it sounds a bit weird, I know on PC versions, on some of the mods, I think the Massey Ferguson tractors are one of the main ones. On one of the mods you can actually have a passenger, so if you're playing multiplayer, you can put a passenger in that training seat. So while you're driving along, they can sit in with you, they can see what you do while you go around, It's an interesting little mod to have. Personally, I'd rather be playing the game than sitting while someone else plays the game, but each to their own, as they say. I did mention that this gets through the seed very, very quickly, and it really does. Considering how much of this field we've done already, we are nearly out of seed. So, I'm going to stop just there, and we will just whiz back over. Luckily, I say luckily, it's not luckily in all honesty. The reason for putting the potatoes here, or one of the reasons for putting them here, the fields are probably about the right size for getting a good yield. But because you have to refill the seeder as often, it just made more sense to have it right here. If you're having to refill the seeder and the field you're doing is miles away, it takes forever to go backwards and forwards. So it made more sense, really, in all honesty, to do it on here. All the outlying sides are done now. I have made the rectangle. I'm setting the worker off on this side because as he runs out of seed, he's going to be closer to the yard where the seed is. If I start on the other side, he'll get further away from where it is. It just makes more sense that he's closer when he starts to run out. So that's the worker going. I did also become aware that after episode, I think it might have been 14, not 14, what map am I on? Bjornholm, no, 22. Well, I had the great demand on canola way back when. I left the two harvesters, you can see them through the trees, there, and didn't finish putting them into the barns, so I'm going to go and do that, and we'll probably get back when the seed either needs refilling, or when it's done. I would probably put my money on it's going to need refilling. I am just finishing off the last strip on field 23. That's the potatoes in. I did move the seed of the planter over to the next field over for doing sugar beet. Haven't started doing that yet. I have moved the harvesters back, they're parked up, and I have taken the planter up to the combination of fields 25, 24, 29 and 30 to put barley in there. So I've been a bit busy. This is probably all we've got time for in today's episode. Some of these episodes are a bit shorter, I did say it in the previous one. I do have a tendency to record too much and then try and cram it all in. And in cramming it all in, I didn't lower the planter, did I? Genius. I tend to skip around too much and skip big chunks out. So I'm trying to make the episodes probably a little bit shorter, but try and stick to doing one job. If that's not how you like the gameplay to go, please let me know, and I can always figure out a way of doing it differently. But that is field 23 done. I'm going to go and refill the planter now and go down to field 28 and put potatoes in there as well. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. We've now got potatoes on Bjornholm, which we haven't done before. If you like the episode, please give us a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you've got a comment, leave us a comment. Always happy to hear from you. I am now on Facebook as well, so whiz over on Facebook, have a look. There'll probably just more be pictures on there than video clips, but I am now multi-platform. Whatever you decide to do, as always, thanks for watching.